So what is the difference between a lease option and a normal house sale? Well, usually normal property sales follow the same pattern. You see a property you like and you make an appointment to view with the estate agent. You decide you want to buy it and you make an offer. The agent goes away and hopefully he puts forward your offer to the owner. Then the agent comes back and usually says that the offer isn't high enough, you need to offer more. So you do, and the agent goes away. Then the agent comes back and says that unfortunately someone else has offered a higher price and you'll need to increase your offer. So you do, and the agent goes away. At this point you start to get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the agent isn't being completely straight with you. But what can you do? Eventually you make an offer that the seller or the agent considers reasonable and a deal is struck. You give the agent a cheque for 10% as a deposit. You then need to appoint a conveyancing solicitor to handle all the paperwork for you. You do that and you pay him a deposit. Now you need to talk to a mortgage advisor, and usually you use the one that the estate agent suggests, not knowing how good he is or even whether he's independent or tied. You apply for a DIP, that's a decision in principle, and you spend a considerable amount of time providing ID, proof of income, proof of deposit, proof of residency, etc., etc. Eventually, if you're lucky, you receive your DIP. The mortgage company now appoints a RICS surveyor to survey the property to make sure it's mortgageable and to establish its value. And this is where you start to pray, because whether you know it or not, the surveyor can make or break any sale. Whatever the surveyor says the value is, that is what it is. It's totally irrelevant what you, the vendor, or the agent thinks the value is. And if the surveyor comes back with a valuation different from the agreed price, you have a problem. Either you have to find a larger deposit or the deal breaks down. You may also find that the vendor needs to buy another property to move into and can't complete on this deal until he's bought a property for himself to move into. The classic chain, which can include many vendors and buyers. Chains very often break down for any number of reasons, just leaving everyone frustrated and having to start over again. Well, eventually, with luck and some months down the line, contracts are exchanged and you can begin either finding a removal company or finding tenants if you're letting a property. You start to add up the costs involved so far. You've got the deposit, the mortgage broker fee, surveyor fee, the mortgage arrangement fee, solicitors fees, stamp duty. It all adds up to a very considerable amount. So anyway, with luck, completion takes place within a few weeks and you now own the property, right? Oops, no you don't. The mortgage company owns it. You're buying it off them at a monthly amount. Well, at least you have control of the property, and all the stress, effort and expense was worth it, wasn't it? Well, maybe, and maybe not. Let's look at how a lease option works. Let's take the Smith family. There's Mr. and Mrs. Smith and their 2 children, and they're in trouble. Mr. Smith has been made redundant and has got little prospects of finding an employment. Their finances are in a critical situation. The problem is that they have very little equity in their property and they can't reduce the price to a point where it'll sell. They've had the house on the market for 6 months with a local estate agent and they haven't had even a single viewing. They are desperate, they're facing eviction, repossession and possibly bankruptcy. However, you arrange to meet with them both at their home and you eventually agree a deal whereby you will take over the property and you will pay their mortgage for a period of 7 years. You'll also make sure that the council tax is paid and that the property is fully maintained. At any time within that 7-year period, you can buy the property, if you wish, at a price you agree today, regardless of what the property may be worth. You have the right to buy the property, but not the obligation. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to, but if you do, the Smiths can't refuse. You have the contracts drawn up and all parties sign. You now have control of the property just as if you bought it, but without the time and the expense of a traditional sale, and without having to arrange a mortgage. You can rent out the property, and the difference between the mortgage and the rent is your profit. Plus you can look forward to considerable profit at the end as well. The Smiths can move on with their life and everyone is happy. Now, I've completed lease option deals in as little as 3 days with little or no expense. Which method would you choose? Now, bear in mind also that you don't need any kind of clean credit history to do lease options. You could be a bankrupt yourself and still build a considerable portfolio. So, can we do lease option deals in today's economic climate? Well, I'll tell you in the next module.